If you are a new or medium-sized business and you're just getting started with QuickBooks Online or any other general ledger account, there are 5 major things that you need to set up correctly when it comes to your chart of accounts to make sure that you're set up for the long-term success. So before we get too deep into that, just so you know, my name's Andrew. I run TrueBooks Accounting. I've been doing outsourced accounting for about 10 years now, and I've set up easily over 100 different accounting clients. And so I've seen lots and lots of different businesses, cleaned up a lot of businesses, and got them into places to where they could be running very, very efficiently and just get a better understanding of what their business is doing on a month-to-month basis. One of the big mistakes that I see on a lot of small and medium-sized businesses is just having too many income accounts that are way too detailed, and it makes it so that way you actually don't get the information you need. So taking a look at this profit and loss right here, you can have Google AdSense, you can have tips, you can have royalties, and you can have sponsorships as just a couple of different examples. But if you were to break out the income from royalties and merch and affiliates, and you just got to too many details on the different revenue, one, it becomes a lot harder to track, and two, it's not really giving you a whole lot of good information if everything just gets spread too far out and too thin. If you have a different account every time you spend just $50, well then that's just not gonna be very helpful. Or every time you make $50, well then maybe this account isn't really needed if it's not really bringing in a whole lot of money. That you should really only have a specific income account if it's something that you really, really want to track and have that income coming in. And it also holds true for the expense accounts. If you don't really have any expenses in the account, then you should really question on whether or not you really even need to keep that account. The second big mistake that I see a lot of businesses make is duplicating accounts that basically mean the same thing. So examples of this would be if you've got an account for software, another account for subscriptions, a third account for apps, a fourth account for online tools, and a fifth account for SaaS. And that just stands for service as a software. It basically means the same as all of those other accounts. You really only need one account for online services to account for the software, the subscriptions, the apps, and all of those other things. Other than that, it gets to be too convoluted. You don't need to be broken up that much. If it is something that is no longer an online service and a tool, and it's actually more of a professional services, like paying a bookkeeper, me, versus paying Intuit for the online platform for accounting, those are two completely different things. Those should be broken up, right? But all of those other accounts, it's just too many accounts and they're too similar. And again, it becomes very, very hard to track, because then it becomes a lot harder to be very, very consistent. And accounting, you really, really want to be consistent month over month, year over year, to be able to see if there's any changes in your business over time. Mistake number 3 is almost the opposite problem of mistake number 2, and it's using vague catch-all accounts too often. An example of that would be other expenses, miscellaneous expenses, or general business expenses. I've seen business expenses as a general account line item with over $100,000 of expenses, and it just had a little sprinkling of everything from office expenses to online services and this, that, and the other. Well, all of the expenses that are on your profit and loss, all of those should be business expenses. You shouldn't have any personal expenses on your P&L at all. So to have an account that is business expenses, that's too broad, that's too general, it's too much of a catch-all, and it's not giving you any insight or information about your business and where you're spending your money. So you need to be a little bit more specific than that, but also you don't need to have just a crazy number of accounts that would be hard to track as well. The fourth problem I've seen with setting up a chart of accounts for some businesses, and it doesn't happen too often, but it's amazing when it does happen, is seeing a new account every single time there's a new vendor. And so that's like saying a new account created for Amazon and for Costco and for Home Depot and for YouTube, if you're paying for that YouTube premium membership. That's just not the way to set things up. You don't want to set up your chart of accounts based on where things were purchased. You want to set up your chart of accounts based on what was purchased or what it was used for. Otherwise, it's just not helpful. Looking at a P&L, you don't need to know that you spent $5,000 at Amazon and $1,000 at Home Depot. Overall, you're not going to get an understanding of what was that money actually used for as it relates to business purposes. Before we get to mistake number 5, I will say there is a bonus mistake at the end, so stick around for that. But number 5 is creating too many charts of accounts. Too many accounts. There's way too many things that you can code things to, and that just becomes a problem because it becomes very confusing as to how you should code things. And again, being very consistent with coding your expenses over time, those are all gonna be problems. It is kind of a catch-all with everything else. You can kind of pick up on the theme, right? That you don't want too many chart of accounts. You don't want to be overly generic. And so if you want to know exactly how your chart of accounts should be set up, the next video I'm going to make is going to be exactly, okay, what should your chart of accounts look like? And I'll also go ahead and set you up with a Excel spreadsheet that you can download from a Google Drive of, hey, here's my chart of accounts that I like to use as a standard. And of course, it can be tweaked here and there for you, for whatever you need to do. And if you find that you don't want to do setting up the chart of accounts, or you would rather spend more of your time focusing on your business, well then shoot me an email at info@truebooksaccounting.com and maybe we can work together. I would love to hear from you, hear what your business is doing, and maybe I could be doing your bookkeeping for you. Last but not least, the bonus mistake is creating accounts that sound too similar but mean different things. So an example of this is on your profit and loss, you might have an account that says something like equipment. And so you would expense equipment for anything that's under, say, $2,500. That's like the IRS threshold. If it's under $2,500, you can expense it in the current period. And if it's over $2,500, well, now you're getting to the point where you need to capitalize that expense. That means put it on your balance sheet as a fixed asset. And then what would happen is you depreciate that expense over time. What I mean by that is, let's say you bought $10,000 worth of equipment expenses. Well, that wouldn't hit your P&L the day that you spent that $10,000. No. The $10,000 of equipment expenses that you bought would show up on your balance sheet. So in this case, let's look at a Toyota Tacoma. If you bought a vehicle, that vehicle would show up on your balance sheet. But then how does the expense of the vehicle show up on your P&L? Well, that'll show up in depreciation over time. So typically what you would see on your books would be straight line depreciation, probably about 5 years. That's the stuff that's where bookkeepers come in. They have that knowledge of how that stuff is supposed to be handled. So you would then have a depreciation account to offset that fixed asset, and then that's where you'd show that expense. If that doesn't make sense, just let me know. We can talk about it. That is the top 5 mistakes and a bonus mistake of setting up your chart of accounts. I hope that you found this video helpful. Again, in the next video, I'll show you a template for setting up a chart of accounts, being able to import a template if that's something that you want to do, and also just being able to bring in the accounts one at a time. So thank you so much for stopping by. My name is Andrew at True Books Accounting, and I'll talk to you again more soon. Thanks.